Hello everybody, welcome to another Saturday vlog. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well as well. And this week has been kind of quiet for me because usually I work in an office space with 3 other people. 2 days out of the week 3 people, other days 2 people, but it's been kind of quiet because first one of them got sick and they stayed home, and it started with a migraine with them, and now they're like, they've been tested, so they didn't actually get like a positive test, so they said that it wasn't the coronavirus, but instead she's had stomach issues for a while. I guess that's the reason. The other one was coughing and sneezing for some time, and they also had a fever at some point, so they decided to stay home as well. And they were initially going to come back to the office untested, but then the CEO said, no, you're not. Anyway, so they did get tested, this second person, and we don't know the result yet. They only got tested on Thursday, and I think it takes about 48 hours before you get the result back, so she might hear that today, or she'll hear it on Monday. In any case, we'll hear it no sooner than Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. Could also be a negative test because she has a small child who goes to daycare every day that she goes to work, and if anything I've learned from people with small children in daycare is that they tend to bring a lot of coughs back home with them, and then the parents have to deal with that as well. It's like, I don't think it's coronavirus necessarily, probably something else, but we'll wait and see how that goes. And then there's an office space directly across the hall from us where 2 people usually sit, and then yesterday, was it yesterday? I think it might have been Thursday by now. I think Thursday afternoon she went home early because one of the 2, because she had a fever and a headache. So that's also great. So I don't know that's going to be. She's also going to get tested, obviously, to see what that is. So far we haven't had any positive tests. And I wonder what would happen if we did get like a positive tested person in the office, because I hear people coughing all over the place, usually because of like paying extra attention to people coughing. And I'm still a little bit annoyed, well, very much annoyed actually, that my desk faces the window, so there's people behind me and I don't know who's there most of the time, who is standing behind me. Or also when they walk into the office, my desk is like, there's the door here and then my desk is here, and then there's other desks in the other places in the room, and usually people walk right past my desk and thus right past me. So I moved my little what you call one of those things, desk drawer things. I moved them because they're loose. I just moved them like next to my desk, so they have to walk around it, so I get a little bit more space, because I get a little bit claustrophobic when people come like right by me. I normally don't like when people come into my space unannounced or uninvited, but now with the coronavirus I'm particularly annoyed with the people coming too close, and particularly people who think that since the person is not coughing now, that they're probably perfectly healthy, and they go stand right next to each other regardless, or they take up a lot of space in the coffee corner, like they stand there and have a little discussion while you're like just standing there with your cup trying to get something to drink. Curious to see how many people will come back to the office next week, to see how many have had their test results back and what the results were, obviously. One of them is actually on holiday right now, so they're not going to come back anyway, so it's going to get a little bit quiet. The only other person who is still in my office space is the type of person who doesn't really care too much about hygiene, which I find very interesting, because I noticed that he comes here by train, and he's got this disposable mask. He comes in, he puts the mask on his desk, and it sits there the entire day, and he usually leaves after me. But I imagine that he's not going to toss that and put on a new mask. He's just going to take that same disposable mask and wear that on the train home again, because he is that type of person who goes, well, I'm pretty sure that's fine. So I don't know how that's going to pan out. So far he hasn't gotten sick, but who knows? We'll see. He is a little bit lax is what I'm saying. He's not like intentionally trying to endanger people like that. I just think he doesn't care enough to be a little bit more on the ball with that type of thing, and that's also kind of dangerous, because these people, they just go, well, I guess it's important, I'll look at it later. Most Saturdays I just do, well, not much. I walk the dog, and I go to the thrift store, which is now limited to 45 minutes of time inside the store and about half an hour waiting outside to get into the store. It's really annoying though, because they have all these special rules, like, okay, you have to of course keep your 6-foot distance from each other, But people don't respect that anymore. So I'm standing in line. I'm trying to keep my distance, but then the people like coming up behind me are standing way too close, like not even 3 feet. And then whenever I see that, I see behind me that they're like really close, I shuffle forward a little bit. And then they think, oh, the line is moving. And then they come after me. And like, oh my God. And you don't really want to yell at them, because that's like making it look unreasonable. But we're still in this pandemic, even though we might not know anybody who's gotten sick or anything like that. It's not that there's no illness out there that you need to be aware of or anything like that. So I just wish people would be a little bit more sensible. Of course, we also have these groups out there that apparently feel like the whole coronavirus thing is a joke and there's really no need to keep a distance. So even if I would have said something to that person behind me, they may have turned around and say, oh, what are you concerned about? There's no coronavirus, you're an idiot, blah, blah. There's a lot more of those than you think, actually. There were a whole bunch of them trying to protest the other day as well in several places in the Netherlands. And I believe they are actually working on a court case against the Dutch government for limiting their freedoms by coming up with all these measures for getting rid of the coronavirus and stuff. And well, according to them, it's no more dangerous than the regular flu and blah, blah, blah. These people typically have not actually gotten sick. Don't know anybody who's gotten sick, haven't lost any loved ones, etc. Haven't seen any footage of people who are dying from the coronavirus. They just think that everything's a big joke and they know better than the experts what's really going on out there. And it looks like it's starting to rain today, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do the whole thrift shopping thing. It may be over in a little bit. I was planning on going for a walk to the thrift store, but if it's going to rain, then that's going to be an issue. Because I like to stay somewhat active, at least on the weekends, if I don't have any reason to go outside and I don't need to go lunch walking because I'm not at work. Then we're going to have a bit of an issue exercise-wise. Also, my holiday's coming up in a couple weeks, and I haven't planned anything, of course, because I haven't booked anything. Normally I wouldn't go anywhere anyway because I have the dog, so I wouldn't really want to travel anywhere that I have to leave the dog behind somewhere. I'd have to try and take the dog with me. But now, like that, there's also these extra limitations. There might be other options coming up. Like, okay, now that everybody else also has to stay within the country, maybe there's like initiatives around the country for people to just go someplace and just have like a little beach home, or I don't know, rent a little RV to go places. Maybe there'll be more campgrounds available, something like that. So I need to go and find something to do. And if I don't end up finding anything, I'll probably just sit around the house and enjoy the sunshine from my balcony or whatever. There's something more interesting going on that's not necessarily in my personal life, but I just noticed on YouTube that there's this banner at the top saying that you could film your day on the 25th of July and then send it to YouTube so they can make like a little documentary out of it. And by the looks of the banner, you do have to do something very interesting, I think, in order to make it onto that documentary. It kind of reminds me of a project they did many years ago that's very similar. They wanted people to film a day in their life back then too, and then they made a big montage, a few seconds each, of the most interesting ones, at least the ones that stood out to them. And that always reminds me, like, first of all, one, I'd like to participate in something like that, so probably I will try to film something. And two, I usually don't do anything interesting, not interesting enough to film to make it onto something like that. You have to be like, I don't know, at least somewhat interesting and inspirational or something like that in order to get on there. So maybe I'll do like a, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do, but I have an idea of something I want to do. I don't want people to copy it, so I'll try to get on it that way. We'll see. I don't know. But it's like this weird project thing. Like, on the one hand, they're saying, oh, film a day in your life just to see what people do in their daily life. But most people's daily lives are not interesting. And then, of course, the ones that get chosen for this little project have something interesting to show. So it's like, okay, just your regular day in life, don't bother filming that because it's not interesting enough. Maybe if they need a little bit of B-roll, if you happen to have shot like a really nice angle with some good lighting, you might get like a little bit of B-roll time. Other than that, don't get your hopes up. But if you have a fun idea, if you want to film something like, okay, this is something that I do that's kind of out of the norm, maybe you want to film that and like submit that, because that might have a chance to get into the project. So I think we should try focusing on ideas on how to get on this 25th of July historic worldwide documentary. So maybe you can get your footage in there somehow if you do something nice. And if you do manage to get some footage into that documentary, make sure to let me know in the comment section of this video or the future videos, whatever, because then we'd like to take a look at that. Of course, if you could include a timestamp where your section is, we can see it, and that would be fun. I would like to see what people get up to. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Hope you'll enjoy your week. Stay safe. Make sure to keep the distance that you need to. Wear the mask when you need to. And don't cough on anybody if you can help it. And try not to touch too many doorknobs or lick them. Either is not good. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. And bye-bye for now.